Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this tutorial I am going to show you how we can implement the authentication in React Native. And here we are going to implement the authentication by using JWT Authentication. So here we have this onboarding screen, and after clicking on this button we are presented with this login screen, and here we can provide the email ID or username and the password. So here I am going to provide the username, which is admin, and for the password we have password. Now click on login. After clicking on login we are presented with the actual app screen, so that means we have logged in. And now if we close the app and reopen it, then we are already logged in. So this is the actual flow. So that means whenever user is logged into the app, if the app is been closed and later on when user will open the app will be logged in automatically. So that is the authentication flow. And now if I sign out from the app, then let's close the app and then again open it. We are logged out, so we need to log in to access the app. So here our app is storing the login state. Whatever the login state is, if it is logged in, then the user will be logged in after reopening the app, right? So this is what we are going to implement today. And let me tell you one more thing, that this tutorial is a part of a tutorial series where I am showing you different parts of the React Navigation version 6. So here, as you have seen, this login UI onboarding screen, the custom drawer after login, this bottom tab navigator, this UI, this custom drawer, all these things I have already shown you previously in this tutorial series. So if you haven't seen all those tutorials yet, I would highly recommend you to see all these tutorials. It will be helpful to you. So I will provide the link of it in the description below, or you can check it out from the eye icon of this video. And today I am going to implement the functionality of the authentication. So if you are interested in these kinds of tutorial, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post a new tutorial on this channel. So without wasting any more time, let's get started with the tutorial. So this is our app, and here we are going to implement the functionality of the authentication. So first here I am going to discuss about the fundamentals of the authentication flow. Then I will implement the actual authentication with REST API JWT token. So the concept is that when a user tries to log in, that time user will be authenticated and that user will be given an user token, and based on that user token, user will be presented with the app stack or auth stack. Currently, as you can see here, auth stack is being presented, which is the login screen and this onboarding screen which we are seeing here, and the app stack, which is currently commented out, that is the actual app screen which will be presented to the user after user has been logged in. So that means user has been authenticated by the user token. So let me implement the basic version of it, then it will be much more easier for you to understand. And for that we need to use context, and that's why I'm going to create a new file within a directory called context, and the file name will be authcontext.js. And here first we need to import React from React, and along with it we need to import create context, and we need to create a context, and that context will be auth context, and we can create it by this create context which we have just imported from React, and we need to export it so that we can access it from any file. And then we need to create a provider, and here we will return this auth context.provider, and within it we need to pass the children prop which we will accept from here, and we need to export this auth provider, and by this context provider we can pass any value to any screen of our app. And to get that value, first we need to wrap our app with the auth provider, and within it we need to provide anything whichever present in the app. So this auth provider will be the main wrapper of the app, then only we can access the value which we will pass from here. Okay, So right now I am not passing any value. I will provide that just in a minute. But before that, let me move this code to a separate file. So let me create that file here in the navigation, and I will provide the name of it as app_nav. And here we need to import this thing. We need to copy this thing from here to here, and here let's change the path. Now let's import app_nav here. Now let's provide some value to this provider, and for that here I am creating a state called test, and here I am providing this test value string, and here I will pass this test. Now in this login screen I will get this value, and to get that we need to use context hook, and the context will be auth context, and the value we will fetch will be test. Now let me provide that text after this login. So here we can see the test value. So the value is being passed from this auth context provider, and we are getting the value in login screen.js. Also similarly we can get it in onboarding screen or register screen. So like this we will pass the value. Now let's get rid of it, and instead of test I will use isLoading, and by default it will be set to true. And the other state I have created is called user token, and by default the value of it is null. Now let's create this login function, and in this login function I will set user token, and here I can provide a random string. It doesn't matter right now, I'm just showing you the basic functionality of it, and later we will use actual token here, but right now it's just a string, and set isLoading will be set to false. And then I will create a logout function, and here set user token is null and set isLoading will be set to false. And now I will pass login and logout value here, and here instead of test we will use login, and on this login button on press I will use this login function. And here in this app_nav we need to get the value from our context, so we will require use context hook, and the context will be auth context, and we need isLoading user token, and we can pass these values as well. So now let's check for the if isLoading is set to true, then we will display a loader, and for that loader we will use activity indicator. So first we will have a wrapper view, and in that wrapper view we will use activity indicator, and for the size of it I will use large size, and for the style of it I will use flex1, justify content center, align items center as well. And here we need to check if user token is not equal to null. That means when user token has been set, that time we will display app stack, otherwise we will display auth stack. So that means when we have any user token present, that time we will display this app stack, which means user has been logged in, and if the user token is not present, that means null, then we will display the auth stack, which is this stack. Okay, now after saving it, let's click on this login button. So we are presented with this app stack, and now let's implement the logout in the sign out button, and for that go to this custom drawer, and here is the sign out. So here also it will be similar to this, so let me copy it from here, and we need to import use context hook here and also this auth context, and here it will be logout. So now click on this sign out button. So we are presented with this login screen and we can log into our app. So this is the basic concept, and the main thing is happening here in this auth context. Here we have the login function and the logout function. In login function we are setting the user token, and in logout we are setting the user token again with the null value, and based upon this user token value we are displaying this app stack and auth stack, right? So I think this basic concept is clear to you, and here I have made a mistake. Here we need to return it. Now let's see, if we close the app and open it, okay, it is displaying this loader. Okay, by default it was set to true. I have set it to false, but now we can say previously I was logged in, but right now after closing the app and reopening it we can see that I am presented with the login screen. So now again I have logged in and open the app. I am not logged in, so I need to do the functionality where the login state will be stored to the app. For that we need to use async storage. So we need to install the async storage first, and here I am using npm, so I will use this command and paste it here, and then I need to do this pod install for iOS. For Android you don't need to do anything, it will auto link. So now let's rebuild our project. npx react native run iOS, and now we need to use the async storage. So here in the login, first we need to set is loading to true, and then when we will set the user token, after that we need to use async storage and it needs to be imported. Then we need to set item, and here we are creating a user token item in async storage, and we are storing this user token which we are setting here. And similarly, while we are logging out from the app, that time we need to remove the item. So here also set is loading will be set to true first, and then after the user token has been set to null, we need to remove the item, and this item will be the user token. Okay, we need to remove it. Then I will create another function called is logged in, and here we will get the user token. So I have created a variable called user token here, which is not similar to this user token or this user token. It is separate user token which is being used in this function only, and we will get the value from the async storage, and we will use this get item function, and here the item will be user token. And for this one we need to use await, so the function will be async, and we need to provide it in a try catch block. And let's console log is logged in error for any kind of error which will occur here. After fetching the user token here, we need to set the user token, and initially we need to set the is loading as true, and later we need to set it as false. And then we will need this use effect hook which we will implement here, and within this use effect we will call this is logged in function. Now let's log in again. So let's click here. So I am logged in, and now close the app and open it again. Okay, so here we are having some problem. Let me check it. Okay, so here the error is this thing. I think it is because of this set user token is not working before we are setting the item in async storage and we are using this user token state here like this. So instead of this, let me use this string here and now save it. Now let's try again. Click on logged in. So we are logged in and now we don't have that warning, so hopefully it is working. Let's open the app. So we are logged in and we have seen the loader as well. Right now we are fetching the user token from async storage item and this is logged in function is being triggered. So our login functionality is working perfectly well. So now I have signed out. Let's open the app. Okay, so it's working perfectly fine and I am logged in again. Now open and I am already logged in. So it's working perfectly well and all the login functionalities is working perfectly fine. So that's good. Now we are going to implement this login function with JWT authentication and we will do a REST API call. So that means instead of this hard coded user token, we will get the user token from actual API call, and for that I'm going to use this API call. So here you can see I have this localhost setup and I have set up a WordPress install where we can get the JWT token from this URL, and we need to use the actual credential here. So I have the username as admin and the password as password. Now send the request and here we can see we are getting a success request and we are getting a token here, and we can use this token here as user token. And if I use any other value which is not matching to the user, then we will get a respective error code. Here we have provided incorrect password. Now I have provided a different username, so we have invalid username. So it's working perfectly fine, right? So it is the API call which I am making, and the process which I am going to show you right now, this process will work for any kind of REST API authentication. It doesn't need to be from WordPress, because what I am doing, I am just sending the API post request here from Postman, and in the Postman I am getting some response. So you can understand that it is the REST API which is actually working. You can use any kind of backend as long as you have a REST API endpoint with proper response. And to make the REST API call, I am going to use this Axios package. So let me copy this one and paste it here, and now I will create a file called config.js, and here I am going to use the URL. So this is our base URL, and for the login function I am going to use Axios, and it needs to be imported from Axios package. Then it is a post request, so I need to use .post, and here I will use this base URL which needs to be imported from config, and with this base URL I will use this one which is our actual API endpoint from which we will get the token. Now after that, here we need to pass the username and password which we will get in our login function. After posting the request, we will get the response. Now let's console log the response and also catch any error and output that in console log as well. So here it will be login error, and let me just comment out this thing as of now. Now let's sign out and click on this login. Okay, so here we can see the error with the status code, which means it is not authenticated properly, and I know why it is actually happening this way, because here we are not passing any value to this login function from this login screen, and we need to provide that whatever value we are putting here in these fields, those values needs to be presented in this login function. But to get that value we need to create some state. So we need this useState hook, and by default the value of it will be null. And similarly we need to create this password, and we need to set the password as well. So for these input fields we need to set the states. So for the value of it we need to provide the value. This is the email field, and for on change text of it we need to set email with the text which we are putting here in this field. And as this is the custom component, I need to update the custom component with these props as well. So we will get this value and on change text, and here we need to provide those. And let's copy this one for this password field as well. Now we can use these values here. Now save it. Now after that, let's see here, let's provide admin and password. Click on login, and here we are presented with some response, and here it is showing as valid credentials. So that means this one. Okay, so we are getting the response properly. So here I will create this user info variable. In this user info we will store this res.data, and I will create another state called user info, where I will set the user info with this data which we get from the response. So that means all the data where we have the display name, email ID, first name, last name, all of these informations of the user. And then I will set the user token as user info. So here we have this user info, which is this complete object as user info. Then within that we have this data, and within this data we have this token. So that means it will be user info dot data dot token. So that will be the token which we will get. And if we want to see it, then let me console log that user token, user info dot data dot token. I am just changing the position of this console log, and then we will use the async storage as we have used here. So here for the token I will use this one, and similarly I will store user info as well, and that I will do by this JSON stringify. Similarly here for the remove item also we need to remove the user info from async storage, and for this async storage get item here also I will get the user info. And then for user info we will use json.parse to get the object, and then here I will provide a checking. If we have user info present, then we will set the user token and set user info as well. Now after saving it, let's see. Now provide admin password, click, and here we can see the response. So here in the log we have the token, and I have provided another log for the user token only, which is this one, and here it is. So it is working perfectly well. So we are getting the user token and we are logged in properly. Right, now let's close this one and reopen the app, and we are logged in. And here as we have the user info present, and here we can see we have this nice name, first name, last name, display name, these values present. Whatever value is being present, that can be present here. So here where it is showing hello John Doe, in that place we can show this display name, as this field is present here. Let me do that. So as I have passed user token, I can pass user info as well, and we can get the user info to any screen. And let me see where this will be. I think this will be in home screen. Yeah, so here instead of John Doe I will use this context. So let me copy paste it from here, and here it will be user info. So here it will be user info dot data dot display name. Okay, now save it, and it has been changed with the name. So that's why I have stored this user info along with the user token. So this is the tutorial guys. I hope you have learned something new from this tutorial. If you do so, then hit the like button. Let me know by commenting down below. And if you have any kind of suggestion for me, then also let me know. And share this tutorial with your friends and colleagues. And I will see you guys in my next tutorial. In the meantime, have a great day. Goodbye.